Hi, my name is Nina Marroquin. I work with the Office of Student Success as an avid math tutor. And today we'll be discussing the three main rules in finding the derivative of a function. So, we have three main rules. One is the power rule, and this one's basically the general rule we're going to be using throughout this course. The second rule is the product rule, and this is whenever we have two forms of the unknown term being multiplied together. And then we have the third rule, which is the quotient rule, is whenever we have two different forms of x, or whatever the variable would be in this case, divided amongst each other. So, let's do a couple of problems. So, let's say we have a function, f of x equals x to the fifth plus 6. So for this case, we're going to use the power rule. Whenever we do the power rule, we're going to take whatever the exponent is and move it to the front and subtract 1 from it. So here, we're going to have 5x to the fourth power. The 6, technically they don't write it, but it's understood to be x to the 0 power. So if I would move that 0 to be multiplied with 6, and then subtract 1, it doesn't really matter about this part anymore, because anything times 0 is just going to be 0, so we don't have to worry about writing that guy out. So the derivative of the function is going to be 5x to the fourth. So now let's say we have a different function, and I'm going to call this guy g of x equals x to the fifth plus 2 times 2x plus 1. Here you can go about by doing the FOIL system if you feel more comfortable using the power rule. But here we're trying to get you used to different forms of taking the derivative. So since I'm multiplying, whenever I see multiplication, I need to remember the product rule. And it's always good to write out the formula. So whenever you go about these guys, it would make life way easier on yourself if you label your u and your v. So, and once you figure out what your u and v are, you're able to figure out that u prime is going to equal 5x to the fourth, because we do the power rule again, we bring this guy out to the front and subtract 1. And 2 is a constant, so we don't have to worry about him. And v prime is going to be the same thing. I have a 1 right here, so I'm going to bring that 1 to the front and subtract 1 from it. 1 minus 1 is 0, so anything to the 0 power is just going to be 1. So 1 times 2 is going to be 2. Once we have our u, v, u prime, and v prime, we're going to be able to substitute everyone into the function, or not the function, but the formula that we've made. So we're going to have x to the fifth plus 2 times 2 plus 2x plus 1 times 5x to the fourth. Now this is where your algebra comes into play. We get 2x to the fifth plus 4 plus 10x to the fifth plus 5x to the fourth. Collect like terms, we get 12x to the fifth plus 5x to the fourth plus 4. And that's our answer for g prime of x. Now we have one more example, and I'm going to call this h of x. H of x is going to equal 5x plus 6 divided by x squared. So since I am dividing these guys, that should yell out the quotient rule, which states v u prime minus u v prime divided by v squared. Like what we did for the product rule, it would be nice if y'all would label your u and your v. So you can figure out u prime would just be 5 and v prime would be 2x. So once you figure out your u, v, u prime, and v prime, you just substitute everyone into the formula. So we have x squared times 5 minus 5x plus 6 times 2x all over x squared squared. Now you do your algebra. You get 5x squared minus 10x squared minus 12x all over x to the 4th. Collect like terms. We get negative 5x squared minus 12x divided by x to the 4th. Now we all notice that they have x in common, so I can factor out an x from both the numerator and the denominator. So the x's simplify, and I can say h prime of x equals negative 5x minus 12 divided by x to the 3rd. So once again, we discussed the three main rules in taking the derivative. They were the general power rule, the product rule, and the quotient rule. So once again, my name is Nina Marroquin, and today we discussed the three main rules in finding the derivative.